10 years old. I knew my mom had health problems. I didn't know what schizophrenia was until later. Dad worked overseas, and we lived in the rural US. Mom would take medication while he was home, then wean herself off after he left. I sleep in my bed one night. Mom wakes me up. It's pitch black. She's agitated and worked up.
Anon, I need your help.
Sure thing, Mom. She dumps something heavy into my bed. I sit up and feel what she's given me. 5 fist-sized rocks, muddy and wet. Likely dug up from the creek in the woods.
Anon, these kittens are crying. I think their mother is dead, but I need to look for her. They can sleep with you tonight.
What? Mom leaves. I can see her from my window walking into the woods. No flashlight, just shorts, a shirt, and shoes. Sit up in bed, confused and scared. The rocks are heavy and so wet that the water is soaking through my sheets. Don't want to upset my mom, so I leave them there. Fall back to sleep after what feels like hours. Mom wakes me up early the next morning. She grabs the rocks and leads me into the kitchen. She has a cardboard box lined with blankets. Inside is a mixing bowl full of milk. She puts the stones inside the box.
Anon, this is their new home.
Days go by. Mom won't let me even touch the kittens. The milk is starting to sour. She won't let me pour it out or swap it for fresh milk. 3 weeks later, she starts her meds again in anticipation of Dad's return. Unceremoniously cleans the milk, rocks are thrown into the yard, and she never mentions it. It's like it never happened. In town with Mom for a grocery run. She sends me to grab salt.
Make sure it has iodine.
Okay, Mom. Grab regular old table salt. In the US, iodized salt is pretty standard. We check out and make the long drive back home. Mom reaches into the back and grabs the salt.
Anon, try a pinch of this salt. Can you taste the iodine? It's like a shield for your body.
Just tastes salty to me. Get home. Mom immediately makes my favorite dish, homemade mashed potatoes. It's a little saltier than usual. Whatever, I love mashed potatoes. Mom sits and watches me eat it. Won't stop talking about iodine. Over the next few weeks, she puts that salt in everything. Even glasses of water get a quick pinch of salt. She still does this, but to a lesser extent. Find out later it's because she's terrified of a thermonuclear war. We're so far out that not even a nuke on the nearest town would reach us, but the fallout would. Mom wants our bodies to be constantly saturated with iodine to combat any potential radiation. When North Korea began testing missiles a few years ago, she called me almost every day, asking if I had my salt for the day. Yes, Mother. I still carry a little pack of salt from a fast food joint in my wallet, just to keep me humble. I mentioned my dad works overseas. He works as a sort of talent scout for a US university, and lives in China most of the year. Both him and my mother are fluent in the language, and I picked up a little over the years. Dad leaves again for work. Usually Mom handles this well, but this time, she's devastated. Stays in bed weeping most of the time. One day, she makes a complete 180. Starts writing letters in Chinese. Non-stop writing. For weeks, she fills notebook after notebook. She begins mailing them to the local news station and the county sheriff and etc. One gets sent to the town taxidermist and deer processor. He's a childhood buddy of my dad, knows about my mom's illness. Calls my dad. He's on the next plane home from Beijing. Dad gets back. House is covered in filled notebooks and loose sheets of paper, covered back to front in beautiful Chinese characters. He reads a few of them, then starts gathering them up, takes them out to the burn pile, burns every last one he can find. Him and my mom go to the doctor the next day. Mom gets new med cocktail that turns her into a practical zombie. Zonked out, she just watched Jeopardy every day. Dad leaves. Mom begins weaning herself off the meds again. I'm trying to think of other stories I've heard that y'all would like. Most of it is run-of-the-mill stuff, delusions about her, me, and the world. We have a rural mail carrier and an old beat-up Jeep. Butch lesbian, but generally one of the nicest people that I know. I still send her Christmas cards. Anyway, during one of Mom's episodes, she thinks the communist Chinese government has infiltrated the United States Postal Service to spy on her and Dad's communications.
Anan, does Mary,
Which is our mail carrier,
seem okay to you? Yesterday she idled outside of the house for like 5 minutes.
Mom scans all the incoming mail like a hawk, finds a shred of loose paper in a magazine, thinks it was coated with LSD by the Chinese and planted there to dose her. Shows me as proof. Mom, it's just a loose piece of paper. Post offices are full of those.
Anan, you wouldn't understand. The Chinese don't have a problem stooping this low.
Please be nice to each other. Schizophrenia is varied and there's no one way people get it. Genetics, drugs, and other things can all contribute. I guess this is a good time to express my own fears. Mom's grandpa likely had schizophrenia. Lived in too rural of an area at a time when mental health care didn't really exist. Stories about him practically confirm it, however. I'm fairly certain I carry the markers for it. Terrified of developing myself. Fearful of seeing my first hallucination every time I walk into a room. Scared to death that one day, rocks will start mewing to me like kittens. Sometimes I see something odd and wonder if it's real or the beginning of my mom's disease. Here are a few more quirks my mom has. If y'all are still interested, I'll keep posting after work. Mom loves David Bowie, maybe because she thinks he's a prophet. Thinks Starman is about a real entity circling Earth. Despite this, I still think it's a great song. Mom will melt sugar and pour it on anthills in the yard. Refuses to use chemicals. Refused to kick over anthills.
Sometimes what we love most kills us.
Okay, Mom. She saw a documentary on fentanyl. Now refuses to take any sort of pain medication in case the Chinese tainted Tylenol with opioids. Here's another story or two since most of you seem to be enjoying it. Same summer as the Rock Kitten incident. It's hot. So hot. Mom takes a Sharpie and scrawls a Chinese character for cold on every wall in the house. Cranks the AC as low as it'll go. Then turns it off the next day so the house gets hot as fuck. Tells me it's an old house and needs to be cycled. 10-year-old me just says, okay, and goes back to playing Pokemon. Wake up one day to find all of the characters are painted over and the AC is set back to a normal temp. When Mom has a cocktail of medicines, she sometimes takes one or two, sometimes the whole set, and sometimes just doubles up on a single pill/injection. Makes for a wild ride. Her night terrors go out of control when she does this. Wake up at 2 a.m. to the sounds of blood-curdling screams, then laughter, then nothing. Go to Mom's room and she's sound asleep. Stay up the rest of the night. I'll post some of the public freakouts. They were super frightening for me. Incredibly rural, so we only go into town once every month or so for things like rice, flour, toilet paper, and etc. Everything else we grow or raise. In town with Mom, we make a trip to the store and get our sundries. Mom swings by McDonald's. Hell yeah, I get chicken nuggets. I can't remember what she got. We sat down and I opened my nuggie box. Mom stops me and takes the box. Picks nugget after nugget out. Lines them up. Cue the frantic behavior.
Anan, what do these all look like to you?
Nugs?
Anan, they're all the same shape.
Oh shit, she's right. McDonald's used to make nuggets in only 4 or 5 different shapes. Not sure if that's changed now. My entire box was filled with the boot-shaped nuggets. Mom would only ever listen to classic rock. Some of those boys did drugs, but they're all good people. She doesn't think that about other stations. Every other form of music was maliciously engineered. Classical music was mathematically engineered. Country/Western was George W. Bush's secret signaling system. This woman voted for him. Twice, mind you. Christian music? disrespected God. Pop music stopped existing, and she thought it did irreversible damage to the human brain. So, we listened to a lot of classic rock. Have an old wood grain clock radio mounted in the kitchen for blasting groovy tunes. Looked like pick related. It was the only device that could pick up the classic radio station at our farm. Literally the only one. I come home one day and find it completely disassembled. Pieces all over the kitchen counter, neatly arranged. What? Mom comes in, explains that she had to do it because the station was only playing commercials, no music. She couldn't find anything wrong with the radio, so she called the station. She kept demanding to know where the music was. I have no idea what the person on the other end of the line was saying. I intervened because I listened to it on my drive home 15 minutes earlier. Mom starts sobbing uncontrollably, locks herself in her room. I set a glass of juice outside of her door and put the radio back together. It never picked up the classic radio station after that. Mom thinks it's her fault and that the station is now selectively broadcasting away from our area. Story about Jesus. We never attended church. Despite that, Mom is deeply religious. Believes normally Christian stuff for the most part, except God, the devil, angels, and demons actually physically walk the earth and interact with people on a daily basis. In town, Mom would sometimes whisper with a smile,
That person is an angel, Anon. Do you see his eyes?
thinks Jesus will return, but only after humans force certain conditions. I never really understood what they were, though. Believes the Holy Spirit is the divine spark that separates us from the animals.
We're all the same when we shed our physical bodies, Anon. One day, we all be united in the same spiritual mass.
Story about the government. Like I mentioned, we're rural. With that comes an inherent distrust of the government. Schizophrenia cranks that up to 11. Has zero faith in the US government. Thinks they willingly allow China to abduct and experiment on Americans in black sites across the country. Thinks homeless people are largely sleepers from alphabet intelligence agencies. Believes pretty much every X-tier conspiracy you can think of. But believes the moon landing was real. I'm not sure how she feels about spies. Like I mentioned, she thinks homeless people are monitoring the population for the FBI, CIA, and NSA. I'm not sure how she feels about the Unabomber. I'll casually bring it up next time I see her. If she busts out a copy of his manifesto, I'll shit a brick. Here's one more before I start work today. Another public freakout. First time at Sam's. It's a big US bulk store for you Euro friends. You need a membership to buy things there. We didn't know this. There's a woman at the front that ensures you have a card. Mom sees her stopping people, activated schizo powers, and masterfully dodged her. Fill up our shopping cart. Head to the checkout. Checker asks for her Sam's card. Mom is taken back. She keeps asking what she means. It's explained several times, but Mom just wants to pay and leave. She's starting to get nervous as another checker and the manager come over. Just starts fucking walking with our cart. Manager is trying desperately to stop her, but we live on a farm, so Mom is fit as hell. Power walks right out the front door, throws all of the shit into the back of the truck. Hands the manager $200 in cash, says,
All I wanted to do was pay.
We only had like $50 in groceries. And memberships are like $100. Go home and eat mangoes. It's a big US bulk store for you It's a big US bulk store for you Euro. She saw a documentary. Why do I keep saying it like that? Documentary. Whatever.